Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. Julian here for another Drops episode, this one for week 19 of the fantasy hockey season. Now, before we jump into it today, guys, drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And if you do want to take your support to the next level, there is a join button right here on YouTube, or down in the description, you can get a link to my Patreon. If you join through my Patreon, you get certain perks like early access videos, as well as certain other perks like being able to DM with me if you have any kind of fantasy hockey related questions. Let's jump right into the content now, guys, and let's take a look at some forwards that you should consider dropping today. First on the list is Claude Giroux of the Ottawa Senators. And even though he has been a lot better as of late, Claude Giroux overall this season has not been particularly great. Now, he is getting top 6 deployment for the most part, and with Josh Norris injured, he actually has been getting top power play time as well. Now, I'm not sure when Josh Norris is coming back, but it shouldn't be too long since there was a nice break now, and he could be back in the lineup sooner rather than later. Now, Claude Giroux, I don't think is a bad player, and I don't hate if you want to hold him the rest of the year. The real reason that he's on the list this week is that if you are in a shallower league and you own him, this week specifically, the Ottawa Senators have a very, very bad schedule. Now, week 19, if you've watched my waiver wire or preview videos, is a 9-day week. And some teams play up to 6 games on this 9-day week. Ottawa is the only team that plays only 3 games throughout these 9 days. That's really not a lot. And if you really need to win this week to advance to the fantasy playoffs, having Claude Giroux may not help you that much considering the very little amount of games that he has. If you are in a very deep league, you're going to hold on to him and hope that he goes off during those 3 games. But if you are in a shallower league and there's players out there that you can stream for like 6 games, 5 games even, that's probably a better ad. Next, I have Jared McCann of the Seattle Kraken, and I don't hate holding him either if you're in a deep league, but if you are in a shallow one, he is definitely droppable if you need to make any kind of move or add a certain player for whatever reason. Jared McCann is not someone you absolutely need to be holding rest of year, although he is one of the better players on Seattle and definitely puts up points fairly frequently. Anton Lundell is a third liner on Florida and has had some pretty good stretches this year, but at the same time, he is a third liner, guys, and the opportunities for him are quite limited, and I'm not an overly huge fan of him, so he's someone that you can let go of if you need to. You can hold on to him as well if there's not really anybody better, but if you need to drop him, don't hesitate. Stefan Nason of the New Jersey Devils started off the season insanely hot, getting top power play time and burying the puck quite a bit, but that shooting percentage was always going to be unsustainable, so he slowed down quite a bit. He's still getting second line and top power play time, so if you're in an insanely deep league, definitely you can hang on to him and hope that he turns things back around, but if you are in a shallower one, he doesn't need to be owned. And finally, Nick Paul. He's a third liner in Tampa Bay that's 22% rostered, and I get that he's way overperformed considering his deployment this year, but he's absolutely not someone that needs to be on your fantasy team in almost any league depth unless it's just a crazy deep league. On defense, Rasmus Andersson is a power play 2 guy in Calgary, 71% rostered, and his floor isn't that bad. So if you are in a deep league, once again, you can hold on to him, but in shallower ones, he definitely does need to be owned, and he's owned in quite a bit of leagues if he's 71% rostered. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's definitely better defensemen out there to be grabbing than a guy like Rasmus Andersson, who's not putting up a whole lot of points, and even his peripherals are not that great. Brock Faber's another guy. Very good real-life defenseman, not great for fantasy. He's not like getting top power play time in Minnesota, and his peripherals are not really that great. He definitely does need to be owned in 71% of leagues. If you are in a super deep league, you can hang on to him. But other than that, I'm not a big fan. Brady Shea, I don't get how he's still owned in 41% of leagues. He's been pretty much useless all year. There's been a game here and there where he'll score a few points in one shot, but then the rest of the time, he's barely even putting up peripherals. Not a big fan of him. Drop him if you have him. Luke Hughes of the New Jersey Devils is someone who definitely has some offensive upside, but the peripherals are pretty much non-existent, and it's not like he's getting top power play time anyway, so he's not putting up that many points. If you have him, he's an easy drop as well. And finally, Jeremy Lozon of the Nashville Predators is pretty much confirmed to be missing the rest of the season. If you had him for hits, well, or had him for any reason, you can drop him pretty safely at this point. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.